I'm just going to jump right in. People are going to be asking me what's going on. I'll just kind of fill in the blanks for people and talk about what's going down. I don't have very long. I only have about 40 minutes to do this video, but I want to go through the design that I ultimately concluded on paper and why I concluded on this design for just a simple chat app. I'm going to end up making two of them actually. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my notes here, and so I can write about that for this little moment while we kind of wait for people to trickle in. For the people who want to come. All right, so make a note. And I'll put this up here in case somebody misses it. So I've concluded that the best way to combine my learning and career learning, I should say. It sounds a little lame, but whatever. Career learning and fun projects is to turn this live project for an assistant for live learning, for live streaming, into a full-blown multi-services app. God, I cannot type right now. It's a full-blown microservices app with bots in containers, notifiers in their own containers, and a centralized interface that supports a command line. It supports commands from the command line. A terminal user interface in CView, and an HTTP interface using WebSockets. All right, so there'll be lots of pieces there. I'm going to go draw them up in a bit, but I want to actually talk a little bit about why I'm making that decision, and where that's coming from. So there's some really interesting news I found out, and I just wrote about that earlier in the note previous before that. The first that I'd known about the cloud native that's been released to open source as under the cloud native thing. So it's officially owned by the cloud native. Cloud native owns the Kubernetes project. So not Google. Google is a big influencer, of course. Cloud native also owns Containerd, which is now, Docker is now based entirely on Containerd unless you're using a real old version apparently. And there's a lot of people who know more about this than me. They're not here in the chat yet, but they're the ones who can be able to talk about. And then there's a couple other, I haven't read about all the projects. I'm going to confess. Envoy, though, I did read about, and that really blew me away. So I read about a Dropbox conversion. The Dropbox, the company, converted from Nginx to Envoy. And Envoy is a microservices mesh kind of forwarding layer. It's really lightweight. It sort of focuses on the proxy part of what Nginx does for pushing data around. And that's all cool, well and good. I don't know how much you're going to need that in a microservices architecture, particularly if you're building your own microservices with gRPC and protocol buffer and buffer protocol and the rest of the stuff, because it's just an HTTP server and it has to have HTTP. So there's a lot of things that I've been learning about just over the little while. And the thing something that's really interesting too, I wrote about this, is that the protocol buffer it's binary, but it does a lot of the same things that I did in the AST for the compressed AST for Pagan. So once again, I'm finding that my Pagan work is actually directly related to a lot of this cloud native work. And so how does that relate to this chat app? Well, you know, Acerbic, truly Acerbic, he's really funny. He has put together, the world's most complicated tic-tac-toe game or something like that. It's tic-tac-toe. I can't remember if it's tic-tac-toe or Battleship or something, but it's got it's got like microservices in it, and it's got TypeScript compilation. It's overblown in how complex it's. How many random technologies can we over-engineer into this thing as just a fun project? And in the process, he's been learning stuff. It's a really fun thing. If you ever catch him, truly Acerbic is his name on Twitch. And so I'm going to take one from his book, which is, because I'm looking at the whole thing and I'm looking at the architecture that I'm drawing out on paper for this, thing that's going to help me to be able to see chat better and interact better and more efficiently and be able to be modular so that it can interact with lots of different things. And I'm like, I can make all those into a, how could I over-engineer this to best? Well, we can make every one of these like functions into a gRPC server that's, that's on its own container and possibly even on its own computer. And I have all that stuff. I have it all just sitting around. So, and I was looking for projects because I was looking through, okay, so the next thing I was looking at was, well, do they have any training in Cloud Native? And I've talked about certification in the past. My feelings on this, you can say, why certify? If you go to rwxrob.live and you go to hit the YouTube channel there, if you go there and you search for why certify, I have an hour-long video about why you should certify and why you shouldn't, when you should certify and when you shouldn't. And ultimately, it comes down to, is certification going to help you provide more trust with your potential employer? That's what it's about. Getting a job is about trust. If you can't get an employer to trust you, they're not going to pay you. So you have to prove to them that you have the skills. That means if you're an old guy who's been running his own business for 8 years, then, you need a little bit of help. I need a little bit of help. Having the right kind of company, like, look at me seriously. It's unfortunate. I mean, this could be just imposter syndrome. But suffice it to say that it is one of those things where, you definitely want to do what you can to make your chances better. And particularly in the engineering space. So like if you look at the Y certified diagram that I have someplace, I wonder if I still have that. I'm going to go. Might be worth looking for. Just give me a second here. But because I get this question all the time. Everybody's asleep right now, or wherever. I don't know where they are. My normal people, it's funnier. They're all from England now, so all the people in America don't stop by very much. Who we got over, by the way, on here? Who's watching? Who's the biggest? Oh, now I'm Saxon. Oh, this cybersecurity people are awake, and they are on, and they're seeing Griffin good. So this is what I'm talking. Oh, Dancing Rights Code, cool. What I was coming here to show you is if you go to, let me see if I can go find it. I made a diagram of this somewhere. I guess I don't have it there. X of that live. I'm kind of destined to find this. Nope. One last place. If I can't find it, I'll just have to let you go look at the video. This is one of the reasons I want to make my search engine, my AcknowledgeNet thing, mirror. Blog check panel live, blah, blah, blah. RWX tweet panel, try hard mode, offline, live panel, IRL logo, focus. Nope, don't see it. Nope, not there. Anyway, so, again, the point was that certification is something you should pursue I think if you're on the engineering side of things. And so if you're a developer, the best way to get people to trust you is to produce a lot of code. I still believe that for, developer doesn't want to write a lot of Go code, right? Of all kinds. That's why I spent so much time with context the other day. I want to show people that I know how to code, and one of the best ways to do that is to demonstrate it through participation in open source projects. That's very specific for software development. Um, some of the other engineering things, like setting up Kubernetes cloud and things like that, those are not things that you can easily demonstrate through your GitHub repo or GitLab. They are things that you have to prove other ways, and that goes for, I don't know, security compliance, and there's just a whole slew of things, electrical engineering, that lend themselves better to certificates because they comprehensively look at a bunch of things that can't be, displayed on your mantle, as trophies. So, and the thing they put on the mantle is the. Now, I'm dubious on certificates. I don't like them in general because usually they don't have you do anything. They're just filling in blanks. I absolutely refuse to take any multiple choice certification for any reason. And so, the OS, the security certification, that's a very participatory certification. And it turns out, so this is where I'm going with this. I was at the cloud native stuff, and I have nothing to do with these people. It turns out that they also have, I'm going to zoom in on this, but they have training, and it gets better. So they have all these certificates, right, and the ones you can look at, and then they have. And so I was looking at Cert as Kubernetes administrator, and I'm not particularly interested in being an administrator for Kubernetes. I could probably do it. I've got a lot of system administrator background, but I really love the code. Just the bottom line, and I like things that are systems related, which is where the cloud data things come in. So they actually have what I'm thinking right now is the ideal certificate for me to pursue, and that's called the Certified Kubernetes Application Developer, which is, and this is actually something. There's another one too. There's a Certified Kubernetes Training Instructor, and someday I might want to get that too, because then that'll put me in a place. I really love to live stream. I really love to teach. I really love to present. I'm a relatively good written and verbal. So I believe my career goals are to get certified in Kubernetes and then get certified in training in Kubernetes. And I don't particularly like the Kubernetes platform and its architecture. I think some of it's overly complicated and stuff. It doesn't matter though, because it is the industry standard at this point. So there's some things, it's like you might actually like Rust better. You might be the language you really love. It doesn't. The jobs are in Go now. There's more and more Rust jobs coming up, and we can consider it, even though I hate the syntax. But those are the things that you need to consider when you're like picking the thing. And so, I'm going to follow my own advice that I've given to hundreds of people at this point. Find out what kind of companies you want to work for, and to my mind, there's lots of them. There's specific ones, there's like, GitLabs and the ad hocs that I talked about, and companies that I really believe in. And then, but in particular, I want to work for companies that are working to maintain their own clouds, their own internal clouds. I want to work for a company that's getting rid of all the other stuff. They're getting off of Amazon and everything as much as they can. I'm not against Amazon, but they're working to get it to move off of it. And Amazon is particularly one company I would consider under the right circumstances, but I wouldn't work for any of the other ones personally, the FANG ones. But so anyway, I want to help these. Hey, Liquid. So I want to. This is kind of fitting into my goals, and so you're like, well, why am I talking about all this? But this leads up to why use microservices on this simplified chat app, even though it's over-engineering. It's clearly over-engineering. It'll be hilarious, though. It'll be really fun, and in the process, we'll end up learning a lot about gRPC and protocol buffer and Kubernetes and K3OS and of course, a lot of Go programming, some YAML in there. I mean, everything, right? WebSockets, OAuth, it's all in there. And in the process, it will be with the end goal of getting or you guys, if you want, getting a Kubernetes certified provider certificate, and potentially some of the lesser certificates that lead up to this, and then eventually getting the certified trainer. And as soon as I get the certified trainer, I will either freelance or I will take the $250,000 $1 million job that I was offered, more or less on paper. They put that number down some couple of years ago to do this very thing, to do the training and the full stack sort of training. And and do what I need to do. But if I take that job as a consultant, I'll be flying around helping people out or doing or from home and everything like that. So I'm just kind of projecting, and this stream is largely about me doing what I would model for other people to do. So if you're anticipating working in a position that's in tech, and you have to feel like, yes, like a good deal. You have to consider what your options are, how to get there, and make your own plan and your strategy, or it's not going to happen, right? I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for tech people out there, but most of that opportunity is for senior tech people. It's not for a lot of junior people. So you need to get yourself into a senior place, which means making sacrifices and doing what's necessary to focus on that one thing that's going to make you senior and getting laser focused. And so, how's it going, Matt? And so for me, that particular path is distilling before me as I play around with all these different tech, and it's largely kind of it's kind of focused in on Kubernetes certified provider. So, and they have all these projects that are in here that you have to do and lead up to it, and blah blah blah. And here's the details of it. It's, a placement with first tab partners. So that's another thing. So once you learn this, another thing that I like about, normally I am very, hesitant to do a certificate. I've told you guys about that price patient. In the past, I've been like, no, I don't want to do a certificate. But in this particular case, so there's a number of reasons that I'm considering this. First of all, it's run by the Linux Foundation. So this entire program is the umbrella of the Linux Foundation, which I freaking love. They're doing great things there, even if they've got a corporate sort of slant. I think it's kind of funny that it's probably the most significant, foundation on the planet right now, short of the IETF, and even they're kind of irrelevant these days. And it's Linux-based. It's Linux-based. In the 90s, if you said that a Linux Foundation would be setting technical direction for the world, I would have said you were crazy. I might have predicted it would eventually happen, but I didn't realize it would be this quickly. So placement. So there's lots of reasons to get a certificate. This certificate only costs $300. That's nothing in the land of certificates. The OSCP certificates are like $1,500, and I know that's American dollars, so that's prohibitive to those kind of people. It only lasts for 3 years. You have to refresh it. Would make sense. It's probably going to have to move faster than that even. But here's where it goes. So it's a certified application developer, right? So yeah. Did I click on the wrong one? Oh, that was the service provider one. That's right. So let me see if we can find it. Where is it again? There it is. So it's called a KCAD. Oh, and I think I called it KCAD. I got the acronym wrong. Anyway, so Certified Kubernetes Application Developer Program has been developed by the Cloud Native Foundation, which is under Linux Foundation, to help with Kubernetes ecosystem and standardized training and certification. And so this is one of the certification that I'm really feeling good about because of who's running it, because of the low cost. They're not trying to kill people here, because, Linux principles and values. And free, it's a 2-hour command line driven test. So this is not like fill in the blanks. You got to know your shit. You can't go in there in 2 hours and then take like 10. You have to really know your stuff, and you got to have been able to focus on a bunch of stuff. So here's the prereqs. Certification step. And why certify? Again, I said already, just to recap, because I'm an older guy trying to get back into the corporate world. I've got the skills, man. I could definitely, even as a junior programmer, I'd be fine if I needed to, but I'm not. I'm seeking team lead software development positions, if not CTO level positions that are related to Kubernetes and Kubernetes application development. And a lot of my peers, including some of the guys that are even in our stream here, that are my age, that's what they're doing right now. And I don't need to sell myself too much more on the stream. I have, CTO stuff in me. If I want to do chief architecture, I can totally do it. But there's, just like any chief architect, you got to constantly be getting skilled in the new modern stuff. And even though I picked Go in 2014, and I have a lot of people on my stream who's still learning how to program in Go, and I saw it on the wall in 2014. I knew it was coming. Always go job you can get. Yeah. And I agree. I think you should. I think you should push yourself. And so for me, that's either, a CTO or head of cloud data development for a company. And in order to get that, I got to minimally be certified, because the person who's going to hire me for that job, the CEO, who's not probably going to be technical at all, and they're going to put me through a vetting process. They're going to want to see all kinds of proof that I know what I'm doing and that I've deployed. And the first hurdle I have is actually demonstratable experience deploying a high volume cloud platform on Kubernetes. And I don't have that because I've been teaching people for 8 years. I've been keeping my skills up and stuff, but that's a skill that has kind of fallen away to the wayside because it's not something you can do. And one of the greatest things about working for IBM is my playground was 52,000 servers, across, several continents, that had to be dealt with these. And I was like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's try it. No, we would architect. But one of the big things about working in a company that has scale, oh, wow. Yeah. To run for Senate. Wow. Look at you. And, so, we should have these bigger goals. And so that's what I'm trying to say. That's one of these things that we can do here. So the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, is a place where I feel like I can participate and to get the higher level executive jobs, they generally want to see multiple certifications. A lot of times because they're going to place you, particularly in consulting, they want you to have a really full CV because they're selling your time at $100, $150, $200 an hour, and then they've got to convince the people that you're going to go teach and talk to about this, that you know what you're talking about. And sure, there's lots of people who fake it till you make it. The person who recommended me for that position actually didn't know about GitLab. They'd never heard of it. They're presenting like stuff to people. And so this is my path. This is where I'm going. This is why this career choice is gonna drive all of my other decisions about the technology that I play around with in my spare time for the next months or 2 or 10. So this is pretty big news to anybody who's ever watched me and entertain the possibility of moving into cybersecurity. I know I could do it. It's just a matter of time and focus. I really believe in it. But it's just, there's not a lot of Go programming in cybersecurity. There's more and more. I showed you today in another stream. And I showed about, you're starting to see people with Twitter avatars with gophers, with mohawks, because Go is a thing now in the cyber. So, but that space, Go programmers in that space are still kind of there. And frankly, I need to move into a leadership role more than just code all the time. I enjoy coding Go, but it would be sort of irresponsible for me to just code every day, all day, as much as I love it. Because even though I have a hard time understanding context, like you guys all got to laugh at me the other day, my knowledge is at the higher levels. So, and I don't mean that to sound arrogant. It just means it's a better use of my time to look at the overall view of an architecture and see what's going on. And there's people in the stream that do that, FK, Vera, others. So how does this all relate to this stupid chat app? Well, now we're gonna do this, and so this is what I'm gonna let you go back here and read this on your own. I'm probably gonna end up getting 2 or 3 or 4 certifications from these guys rather than go to college. People ask, well, should I go to college or not? And this is the kind of thing that I feel like people should do. Give a bit of your knowledge to your team. Yeah. And a lot of the leadership roles, the technology leadership roles, they require people who can communicate really well, that generally have a calm head. And I'm not that guy, but I could be. That engineers respect, which means that if you're working with engineers, it's a meritocracy in the tech world. They don't care about what you have to say unless they believe in your ability to deliver. So they're going to want to see that you know how to code, for example. And I've seen people in tech leadership roles who can't do that, who are supposed to be lead engineers or distinguished engineers, and they struggle because nobody believes anything that they're saying to do. They're like, why should we do that? Even if they have a valid idea, they don't care. So this is, and the things that they put credence is actual, boots on the ground kind of knowledge. I've had executives come to me and I've taught them, Python or one of them Go, before they went back, and they did it kind of quietly behind the scenes In fact, that reminds me. Shoot, that executive wanted to meet with me. I just remembered something I totally forgot about. I had an executive ask for a consulting session. She's a senior executive, and she wanted a consulting session. I blew it off. Damn it. I forgot it. I forgot it was in my email. I think I was too busy. I was in my email. I don't have a calendaring system because I work on my own calendar. Fuck. Yeah, she wanted to meet with me for an hour session, to get some consulting. I still get this. I still get people who are in the industry I've met for some reason. They come to me because they want to spend a nice quiet hour or two with me. and just pick my brain and then go back and not tell anybody. I'm kind of like, you guys know in the tech world, there's a thing called like a pocket tech. So executives will get a pocket tech, like you have a pocket medic if you play, what's the big guy's name on TF2? Yeah, so a lot of times people will temporarily pay me to be their pocket tech, and fill them in and make them look really smart. So they'll go back to and shine, and then I could probably make more of a career of that if I really pushed it, but I won't do well if I forget about people asking for appointments. Oh well. So because I'd rather be doing it. What is this thing? I think computer science college courses are outdated before they even started. Yes, they totally are. And so the certificates are where you want to look if you're going to get into tech. If you're into the engineering part, if you're going to be into software development, you need to get really, really active on a bunch of open source software projects so you can prove that you can know how to use Git. That you have friends that you can work with. I had such great people around me in my parkour. My boss already was pretty competent. There you go. And so this is just stuff that we can think about. But for me, I'm this guy who's got so much imposter syndrome, even at my level, that I would feel incapable of leading a team that I couldn't do. I haven't at least done everything that they're doing at least once. And I'm sure leadership training people would tell me that that's a flaw. They would say, dude, you've got to let go and you've got to let people, make their own decisions. And I say, no, that's incompetence. I'm not going to tell people architecture is best if I've never used it because I went to some fucking, conference in Greece and they told me about this new emerging cloud. It's all about cloud now, cloud. And so I know all the buzzwords to use. Nope, not going to be that guy. That's why I have always stayed with my boots on the ground kind of engineering skills. I absolutely hate being on the other side of that. Like when you're not, when you're an engineer and you're looking up at people and you're just shaking your head. It's like they don't even know what they're talking about. So one of my colleagues went to study. I went for not good research. He has an awful time. Yeah. Certs are cool and cost way less than even for the 2K cert. Yeah, a 2K cert. Okay, so just to give you a sense of this, I keep bringing this one up. The guy that worked with me, that studied with me, he didn't actually get a cert, but his knowledge was equivalent, so it's kind of kept comparable. He paid me about 4K over 2 or 3 years and spent a lot of time on his own learning stuff. And so I was just mentoring him through his own learning. And then he got a junior level position for 100K. Starting. So I talk about that one all the time. And I'm not talking about it to say how awesome. I'm talking about it because you can learn valuable skills that you can be employed for them without paying 250 grand. In fact, if you go to college, if you think you're going to go to college to learn Kubernetes, forget it. Because they're not going to teach you any of this. They'll teach you how to make your own Kubernetes platform and how TCP/IP works at the low level. They'll teach you how to make a Kubernetes cluster. And IBM actually had a thing where they came out and they said, what was the name of it? But it was an entire initiative to stop people from going to school, kind of like what's his face did, Peter Thiel, who gave the anti-scholarship to keep you from going to school because we needed people in the tech industry. But that IBM article really punched certificates. So a lot of these engineers that they placed they have these special schools at IBM now that they formed where it's K through 18. Is that right? K through 16, I think. Yeah. So it gives you get 2 extra years there, but you get an associate. You actually get a full-blown college degree. You get multiple certificates, and you come right out of high school and go straight to work for an engineering company of some kind. And that's becoming more and more the norm, particularly that the middle class, at least in America, across the world pretty much, the middle class is now tech. I mean, let's just be real. The middle class used to be, engineer. It used to be, hard working people. It was coal miners. It was manufacturing people. It was textiles. That's all gone. And the only middle class that's left, they call it the tech middle class, is tech. That's the only reliable middle class that exists. And now that we have COVID and stuff, you want to shoot for a career that's at least at that level. So I had this quite often. Hi, welcome, Ian Bumster. Go and study this and get your certs. Is it big in the U.S., here in Europe? So many people I've met in all these years of working as a developer are self-taught. Yep. As I've said before, self-taught means that it can mean that you have a certificate. It doesn't necessarily mean you have a certificate. I have a Russian degree, and I've had a very, very lucrative, enjoyable tech career. And I have a Russian degree. That's my only formal education. That's it. So every single thing that I learned, how to code and everything else, I did on my own. And just through, messing with it and stuff. And so my justification for the certificate in this particular case is because, I have to answer the question, what have you been doing for years? I said, well, we've been teaching, people, well, what kind of people, adults and kids alike, helping them get into their, the foundations, thinking, well, how have you been keeping your skills up? Well, I've been playing around with Kubernetes on the side of my own. Oh, that's nice. Meanwhile, I'm competing against this guy over here who has got a certificate, who has demonstrated his skills there and has also demonstrating his Kubernetes cluster that he has at home that he's running across a DigitalOcean thing or whatever. You know what I mean? So, and I'm potentially going against these people for leadership roles. And if I'm going to do that, particularly for leadership roles, they want certificates because they want those. Even if I don't believe in the stamps, I believe in these particular certificates more than others. But even if they didn't, the way that they want to sell it to other people is they want to be able to stamp off on it, stamp, and a super nice portfolio. I mean, it's dirty. My portfolio is really dirty right now, but I've been focused on cleaning it up. It's part of the whole effort to get a sort of hopefully either a lead or an executive cloud native position before the end of next year. So that's now my goals, and I've been sharing them on the stream. And I'm going to make this fun little tool, this little chat app. I'm going to break it up into microservices, overly engineer it on purpose, so that I can have some fun learning about how to do it. Because that's how you learn, people. That's how you learn. You set yourself out a plan for something that is an example of what you would be doing on the job, or need to teach about on the job, or need to direct or lead, and then you do it. You just do it. I had no idea how to run a web server. And how to make web pages. I read all of them, did it. Had no idea how to do a mail server. And I was like, man, I got Linux. I installed my own Linux server, super happy. And I was like, man, I would really, this SMTP mail stuff, it'd be so much fun if I ran my own mail server. So for a full year, I did. I ran my own SMTP, installed SendMail, configured it all, and got all the mail for me and my family for a full year and a half. Now, eventually you don't want to do that because you've got to maintain it. It's a lot of work. But the work to maintain it got me a better job within the job I was at, because they asked who here has SendMail experience, because the company lost their SendMail person. And I sheepishly raised my hand, and they said, okay, you're on it. Now all of a sudden I was the core person in charge of all the mail through the relay in the whole company, because I had been fucking around with it in my background and by my own time. So I tell you that little story because that's how I'm approaching this cloud native, application certified Kubernetes application developer role, and eventually a consultant or a lead role in that. And that's why I'm going to be doing this. And I do plan, this is the kind of thing that I can always stream without problem, because even if and when, I get this position with my private mentoring, which I'll just kind of through, attrition, I'll just kind of let that fade a little bit while I'm working in the full-time role. I'm still going to stream. Nobody needs to worry about that, because I'm constantly going to be streaming all of these fun little learning projects that are related to my job that are not my job. I don't believe they're going to let me stream about some of my job stuff, but they might. And if I get into the lead role or a consultant role, then all of this for me is going to provide kind of momentum so that as I meet new people, they can say, hey, come join us on the stream here. You got to be careful because I'm going to talk politics or religion on occasion. But, other than that, if you just want to come mess with us and study this technology and have fun with it, which is really the goal. I mean, if you're not having fun, then don't do it. I know you have to do some things to eat. There's got to be a minimum thing that you do to eat. But yeah, back when I did college and community college at state school, 4 years of classes were $1,400 got grants and scholarships to cover it. Yep. And there's a lot of other people who do that. We have a community college person, a good friend of mine, LTN Bob. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's playing around with drones. Actually, he's playing around with integrating drones and some streams and networking and some stuff. It's kind of cool. I'll have to go follow that a little bit more. But there's nothing wrong with a community college if it's going to give you your basis. The only time I have needed the BS in science was for foreign work visas. Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard that you have to have more certification and credentials in Germany and places like that too. You can't even get it. You cannot teach unless you have to have a license. Have to have a license. I'm glad I put a lid on my coffee that time. Otherwise it'd be all cold by now. Yeah, note to self. Make sure you have a lid on your coffee at all times. So, is it about certs in Germany? Yeah. It's funny because you also have your Tesla cert. Really? Oh man, that's one I was working on. All my friends were getting Tesla while I was getting my Russian degree. I got a Russian degree. I got most of a French minor. I was starting on some Chinese, but I didn't go there. And Tesla was the one I really, 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 really wanted. Yeah. You can you get a Tesla cert, you can go anywhere in the world and make money and live enough to, let me put it this way. If there was no COVID and I were young and I could travel the whole world, I would get a decent tech degree and do tech for fun. And I would get a Tesla cert and I would bounce around the entire world I would travel and work at the same time. So I would move to South Korea and I would, teach English there and I would do coding there and I would get to know everything I could. And on the weekends, I'd make sure I wasn't working because I would want to go see the whole world there, digital nomad stuff. And then I would go someplace else, I'd go to the Caribbean. You can go anywhere and take a Tesla certificate usually with you. In fact, with a Tesla certificate in Japan, you can make bank. I know guys that were making $120,000 a year just teaching English to executives in Japan. So then I also use it for South Korea, right? You got it for a Thailand job. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, particularly if you're doing those kind of things. One of the guys that this is a long time since I talked to him, but he married somebody from there. Yep, he married somebody from Japan, decided to stay. If you're courageous and you're not the kind of person who's going to be afraid of immigrants and hide in the corner and pretend some dumbass rich guy's going to save you. If you're the kind of person who actually wants to explore the world and get to know people, there's nothing better than a Tesla cert because you can actually get a job pretty much anywhere in the world just by doing that. And then anything else is just gravy. And if it's just you, it's relatively cheap. If you're living light, you're playing minimalist, which I just saw a reference. Some other guy, it was a cybersecurity guy, was talking about minimalism. Yeah, it's becoming a popular thing. Get rid of stuff because you don't need it. Just keep your minimum and move around. If you got a French minor, it sounded like something else. On Twitch, I got close to a French minor, so. I did. I put like I think 30 hours into it. Yeah. Yep. I got a Russian major and I got a computers and linguistics. I was really close to like 3 minors. Seriously, the French minor, I was like 5 credit hours away. I don't know why I didn't finish. I should have. But yeah. The one thing that's cool about Brigham Young is they gave me 15 credit hours for passing a test because I served a mission in France. So they have a special thing that I'm about ready to finish up here, but they have a thing where they they let you test out of French. I taught French in college as well. I was a language lab instructor in French, which means répétez après moi. Combien? Combien? Yeah, it was really fun. French and German is exhausting. Hey, Lection, good to see you. Um, I do have 5 or 10 minutes, so I could probably do a Draw.io thing real quick. Let's go see. Uh, oh, your semester's over. Okay. Yeah, bachelor's degree. Yeah, you have to have a degree. Period. Um, that's I didn't like admitting that, but that's Adam Ruins Everything has good stats on that. Je suis pas très mauvais, mais vous savez, j'ai oublié mon accent. Il faut que je parle en français. Plus. De plus, plus. Enfin, ma femme, elle regarde le télé en Allemagne. Tous les feuilletons en Allemagne. Oui. Il faut que je le fasse. Il faut que je fais comme ça. Il faut que je fasse comme ça. Mais répéter le français que j'entends. C'est pas vrai, tu parles très bien. Eh ben, Matthäus. Um, well, thank you. I mean, I wonder how it sounded in French. And here, let me try something. I've been wanting to mess around with these things. All right.
Est-ce qu'on peut parler français comme ça? Oui, c'est vrai.
I guess it works. You can speak in another language as a monster, as the demon devil. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have Mathis est d'accord. Ponche stai parlando en francesque en France. What is that? Portuguese? Oh man, I wish I could, Zafinda. Goddamn. Stop flexing like that. That makes me so jealous. I'm so jealous of your flexing. I can do Russian, but I actually went back and begged. I begged my admissions people or whatever, the board at my school, to let me stay for another 4 years because I also told them I wanted to get an accounting degree because you can't get a job with Russian, I thought. And ooh, look at that. Yeah, is that Farsi? It is, right? Yeah. And I wanted to get the I wanted to get the Japanese and the Chinese. It looks like Chinese to me. No, it's not. That's Japanese. Is that Japanese? Yeah, it is. I was born in the former GDR. Oh wow. Well, we had to learn Russian. Intéressant. Вы еще говорите по-русски? Тогда. Ну, скажи. Это склонение, это самое трудное русского языка. Если вы хотите научить, изучать русский язык, это склонение, это самое большое, самое трудное. Uh-oh. Gotta go. And probably time for me to cancel as well. So I'm gonna wrap it up. This is just to tell you we're gonna be doing a lot of this funny live stuff, but it's all gonna be Kubernetes related. It's gonna be over engineered. I'm gonna have to explain why am I doing this so complicated, and I'll just laugh at people, and now you guys will know. All right. So I do have to take off. I've got to go do my private mentoring sessions, and my wife is knocking on my door for some reason. I got to go figure out what that